Welcome to Heeltoe Corner Club. Today we've got a special episode. I've got the TLX Type-S back, and it was in Southern California for 4 months getting an exhaust prototype manufactured so that we could do some exhaust sound and performance testing. And also Tein had it to get some springs made. And as it just so happened, there's a track day. So how am I going to go to SoCal and not take a chance to hit up Willow Springs? So come along, check out this car on track at Willow Springs with the new Tein S.Tech coils. All right, here we are at Willow Springs International Raceway. This is a really cool track known as the fastest track in the West. It's pretty old too. This is the same racetrack that was used in Ford versus Ferrari in the opening scene where Ken Miles wins in his Shelby. Well, before it was a Shelby, I think it was just a regular AC car. But anyway, they really didn't have to change a whole lot for the track to make it period correct for that movie, and that's just because the track has been here for a long time and they used to race here all the time back in the 50s and whatever. But you know, today it's still a very fun track, very fast, and it's actually the first track that I ever had a track day at. So it'll be interesting to see how the TLX does here. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the TLX does here compared to the TSX that I had here more than 10 years ago. Whew, it is pretty chilly and windy today. It's dry, which is great, but the wind is a little bit much. So today, it's a really light day. There's only like 10 cars here for the whole day. So actually, we get to go clockwise and counterclockwise. And in addition to that, there's really no flagging. We can go out whenever we want and come in whenever we want. It's really pretty nice. I've never done like a real private track day like this. Alright, so there was a little bit of a change of plans. I mistakenly thought we were doing Big Willow, but we're actually doing Streets of Willow, which is totally awesome. Streets of Willow is a totally fun track. It's not as hair-raising as Big Willow is, which is fine, but it is a technical track. It's tighter, it's got a lot more turns, one or two really good braking areas, but actually, you know, I've done a couple of sessions out here already, and the car feels great. The brakes are still giving up on me a little bit, so I'm being very gentle with them. Also, power, again, no problem here. It's got great ability to power out of corners. There's transmission, I haven't caught it out once. So, I mean, I'm not really missing that manual. And the weight hasn't been a big factor, although I am pushing the tires out pretty hard. Once it starts to understeer just a little bit, you get a lot of noise out of those front tires, just ease into the throttle a little bit and the car will actually pull through and come around and power out really, really nicely. I've seen some videos criticizing the TLX for not being able to get the tail out, and frankly that's not a fast way to go anyway. I can see wanting to get more rotation out of it for maybe more fun, but I don't really think it's necessary, and especially given that this car has never been billed as and really isn't a track car. It's a ton of fun to drive out there and gets a lot of looks, but you know, if you want to win a contest, go get a sports car. I'm out here with S2000 people, and those are the cars that are going to be the fastest on the track. unfortunately, my brake pads are toast. I have done that Pacific Raceways track day, and that was a previous video. I was very hard on the brakes then and pretty much wore them out. Now the car, I drove it a little bit more on the highway, a little bit more on the street, and it's been sitting in LA for such a long time getting springs developed and exhaust developed that, you know, the brake pads haven't really gotten much work, but they also haven't been replaced yet. So I did my 2 sessions already, and I looked at the pads and they're like down to very thin. I'm gonna go out for one more session right now. I'm gonna mount the camera. Maybe I'm gonna do a couple of different mounting positions, but yeah, I'm not gonna have to get too heavy into the brakes because I do still have to make it home. Got that 1,000-mile drive to do tomorrow. If you're not pushing it too hard, the brakes actually work out just fine. I do need better pads so that I can really get more out of the car. If you can't really brake deep or modulate very well, you're just not gonna go all that fast. That's fine. I already knew the brakes on this car were a little bit not up to the task, and I'm a pretty casual track day guy anyway. I'm gonna get some new pads, and then I'll do another track day, and I'm sure I'll feel a lot better. Also, the tires, they held on a lot better today. You know, it's a pretty chilly day, and it's pretty windy, so the track temperature, the sun's not out, the track temperature is pretty low, and I think it just sort of helped maintain some tire stability. While I was getting a lot of noise, I know that I was working them pretty good. The car was holding on just fine. You know, when you start to feel that front end wash out and you roll into the gas and you just feel the car stop understeering, it's pretty cool. Like, the system is really made in a way that you have to drive the car in a little bit of an unconventional way. In a normal front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive car, you might need to, you know, throttle it a little bit if you're getting understeer. But in this car, you really want to go in. That'll reward you with a nice tuck and turn. It's a little bit weird, but once you get used to it, it works really well. I'm sure that you probably got through most of this video wondering how the Tein Springs have changed the driving dynamics of this car. Well, I've been driving the car around LA for like a day and a half, and on the freeway and all that, which they're not that great in California. And I can tell you the ride really doesn't feel interrupted. It doesn't feel like an uncomfortable car at all. It's very compliant. The drive modes still do the same thing that they've always done. Normal and comfort are pretty soft and very compliant. Sport and Sport Plus get a little bit choppier, but still not really super uncomfortable. And the springs work the same as they would basically the stock ones, even though I think they're slightly firmer. On the track, I do feel a lot more stable. Now, it could be because I'm not braking as deep or as hard, but under braking, I feel a lot more stable. When I was at Pacific Raceways, the braking was very nervous. Like, it just really felt like the car was moving around a lot. And again, that could have been because I was getting into the brakes much later and more hard than I am now. But the car overall does feel a lot more stable. With a little bit of an additional compression on the spring rate, right? The springs are a little bit heavier, so with that in place, the car isn't as prone to going back and forth. And I think that the lower center of gravity, combined with a little bit more negative camber that comes with it, is all coming together to say that this is a really good sports option, something that might make our Type S feel a little bit more, dare I say, Type R. The damper valving isn't Type R spec, of course, and the car just isn't a Type R, but it's making us maybe a little bit more of Type RS, let's just call it. Or what a lot of people would prefer is if the car just came like this from the factory. It's pretty low in the front. The splitter is a little lower along with the rest of the car, of course, and by virtue of that, you're gonna have to be more careful in driveways and things. So, you know, it's sort of the trade-off for the look. Overall, in general, I highly recommend this mod for just about everybody because these springs make the car look amazing, it feels more stable under driving, and there's basically zero penalty to them at all. And the car functions just the way it's supposed to. I haven't bottomed out anywhere, like in terms of the dampers, so I say go for it. Tein's totally worth it, at least if we're at this stage of non-competitive driving. So I've done plenty of sessions. I got a lot of media. I got plenty of time to get reacclimated to this track, and as much as I wish that I could continue going out and doing more, I feel like I'm pretty good right here. I would want to continue lapping, but with some mods in place. So maybe one day I'll be able to get back here and take this car and put it through its paces a little bit better. Now that I have the car back, we're going to be featuring some stuff with the exhaust system pretty soon. Sorry I haven't really been able to share with you the sound, but we're still working out and perfecting the sound profile. More to come on that, so definitely subscribe if you're just interested in that alone. Thank you very much again, and we will see you next time in Heeltoe Corner Club.